Well, I'm going for a walk today on a mountain between Ammanford and Swansea. In fact, it's the Morriston part of Swansea, known locally as Betws Mountain. Now, Betws Mountain has got a large wind farm on the top and a deserted Norman castle. There's not a lot left there apart from ditches and earthworks. It's also home to some long-distance footpaths, St Illtyd's Way and the Gower Way, and the castle I've marked on the map there at grid reference SS 664094. And this is the wind farm on that bit of wilderness between Ammanford and Swansea. When you actually see the size of these things, they are absolutely enormous. I can't really go any further. It's private property, so I don't want to get into trouble. But God knows how tall they are. They look like they're about 150 foot tall, I would have thought. They're huge, and there's a lot of them around here, as you can see. And this is lovely countryside. And it's literally a couple of miles from Ammanford and it drops down the other side into Swansea, called Betws Mountain. And I'm heading up to Landsker Line, which is a castle which was built just before 1252, and it was on some lands called the Strive lands. And they were very violent. To the south, and the old lordship of Gower was Norman occupied, and to the north the princes of Denevor were Welsh. And the castle I'm heading to, it was built really as a military outpost and in a very, very violent area to protect the Normans from the Welsh and vice versa. Anyway, onwards and upwards. I shall walk up towards the castle now. The other thing I want to mention is that this bit of land is also home to a couple of long distance footpaths. St Illtyd's Way is one of them, and then the Gower Way is the other. St Illtyd was one of the big daddies of saints in Wales in spreading Christianity all those many years ago, about 500 AD I believe it was, something like that. I shall see you in a little bit. Right, I'm now very near the castle and you can see the scale of the wind farm. And on a clear day, and it's fairly clear today, but there's cloud in the east. You can actually see Pen y Fan and Cornfee. And I suspect that will burn off later and we'll be able to see those mountains. I've just arrived at the castle. This is the outer part and you can see the ditch which goes around it. The castle is called Landsker Line, which means summit of the place of the castle in Welsh, because it's built on top of the hill, 1,213 feet. So it's got views all over. If I give you a 360 there. And in the distance, I don't think you can probably make it out in the camera, there's Cannon Castle, which was a Welsh fortress. I'll say this was violent frontier lands back in the day. The castle itself is what they call a motte and bailey. A motte is a mound which contains a keep, and the bailey was a courtyard which was fenced in, and the whole thing surrounded by a ditch to make it hard for anybody to get in. The castle was destroyed in 1252. They think it was operational for around 80 years, and it probably contained mounted horsemen as well. Let's see if I can cross the ditch now and find my way actually onto the castle itself. Well, I'm now standing on what would have been the motte, and the castle was thought to have been made mostly of wood, but there is some evidence of some stones here, so it's possible, I think historians disagree on it, there were some stone buildings here as well. Again, amazing views. Looking down there is towards Swansea and the Gower, and yet even more wind turbines over there. I know a lot of people don't like the wind turbines. Personally, I don't mind them at all. I think they're fantastic things. They're giving us clean, free energy. And if somebody comes along with Star Trek technology, they'd be easy enough to take down. It's not like they're destroying the landscape particularly. But there you go, that's my opinion. And this stone here is marking the Gower Way, which is a long distance footpath which goes from some of the old mining towns. I think it's up near Brynamon Way, right the way down into the Gower Peninsula. And I'm going to head down the hill, and I think the dog's enjoyed his walk. But I can't really take it with the camera here, the GoPro, but I'll put up a picture of an aerial view of the castle, because obviously with a drone or an aerial footage you get a much better idea what it looks like. I mentioned earlier on that the Strive lands were the frontier between Norman occupied land and the Welsh occupied land. Now to this day there's a line that runs through Pembrokeshire dividing North and South Pembrokeshire and the Gower, and it's called the Landsker Line, and this really originates from that time. The Normans basically did what we would call today ethnic cleansing and moved the Welsh out. And if you have a look today, south of that Landsker Line, the red line on the map, the place names and the genetics of the people there are actually more English than Welsh. And the moment you cross that line, it becomes Welsh even today, and more Welsh is actually spoken there. So it's called the Landsker Line, and it goes back all those way. Originally, I think the English had been using Flemish mercenaries, and they had a lot of them in England that were unemployed, and I think they wanted them to get out the way, and they moved them over to Wales. But they seem to have disappeared genetically, but when scientists have done tests, it appears the people of South Pembrokeshire are genetically identical to those of southwest England, which is very, very interesting. Now that line has moved slightly throughout history, where people might have retreated because they found the hill farming too hard, and then Welsh has extended southwards and English has extended northwards, depending on what was happening. And the next map shows the percentage of people that speak Welsh, and if you have a look where that Landsker Line is, you can see in South Pembrokeshire and Gower, Welsh isn't spoken very widely at all, and that really can be traced back to 800 odd years ago, which I think is pretty amazing. Anyway, that's the video for today, folks. I'll see you again. Bye bye.